Hello, financial coaches. How are you? Happy Thursday. Coach Jill here. For those of you who don't know me, I am one of the admins of this group. I'm also one of the instructors and mentors for the Financial Coach Academy and the Financial Coaching Toolkit, and one of the mentors for the Financial Coaches Mastermind. I am the director of coaching for our financial coaching business, Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. And I'm excited to hop on here and talk to you guys really quickly today a little bit about perfectionism and our desire as coaches to solve all the problems, right? Like that is what we do as coaches, is we take the clients' challenges, we take their problems, and we want to fix them, right? We want to solve it all. And I just had a conversation with another coach today, and I wanted to share it with all of you because I think that this is something that so many of us are guilty of, especially in the beginning when you're a brand new coach and you're trying to really prove your value. You want to show up and fix everything, and that like desire to fix everything or to be perfect or make the perfect plan for your client actually could be holding you back and them, right? So more importantly, it is actually hurting our clients. And so I want to talk about why this is or how this might be showing up for you so that you can sort of reflect on what it is that you're doing during your coaching sessions and if it's really serving your client in the best way possible and if it's really serving you, the coach, in the best way possible. So this one thing could be preventing you from having successful sales conversations, and it could be preventing your clients from moving forward with you and actually getting the results that they're seeking in their financial life. All right, so let's dive in. I'm going to tackle this one with you. So the conversation that I was having with the other coach earlier today was related to her challenge with feeling as though she maybe wasn't teeing up ongoing coaching as well as what she wanted. She wasn't maybe having conversions to the degree that her expectation was. And we were talking about what might be happening in some of those conversations or how she could be better leading that conversation to show them what is possible with ongoing coaching. And one of the things that we really discovered is that through the initial session, so any of you that have been through the Financial Coach Academy or have watched sort of our take on how to approach coaching, we have a initial discovery session. So one sort of deep dive session where you're, getting in the weeds of everything with the client. You're helping them to create the plan that they'll use to go forward. You're painting the picture of where their money is going to be going from now on. And that is what we always do on Fiscal Fitness side. We call it our Eureka session. I know all of you have different names for it, but it is that standalone discovery session where we really are, proving to the client the value of coaching, showing them what's possible, giving them this beautiful plan for how their money can be used much more effectively with some new systems and structure in place. And one thing that I think happens is that we try to solve too much during that session. We put so much pressure on ourselves as coaches to make sure that we solve all of their problems, that we have all of the best answers, that we are just over delivering like crazy, that they're wowed and amazed. And we want that, yes, but here's the thing that happens is that we get so in the weeds of making everything so beautiful and so perfect for them that for one thing, they're like, why would I need you? Everything's perfect. It's all solved right now. I can see it. Okay, so at the end of the session, it feels very hard or a little bit cringy for us as a coach even to approach the sales conversation because we've just shown them how perfect and beautiful everything is. And now we're trying to like backpedal a little bit and be like, but wait, you still need me, there's more. And they're like, why? I don't see it. Everything looks perfect. This is great. I'm going to run with it. Right? So it makes it really hard for us to pivot in the conversation to begin to approach the sales conversation or what we would work on, what we deliver with more ongoing coaching, because we've made their plan look so perfect and so beautiful that there could possibly be nothing more that they need from us. which we all know is not the truth, right? Everything is not solved by having this initial plan. This is just the beginning. The hard work is actually in doing it, right? In improving the way that they manage their money, how they think about their money, the decisions that they're making, the habits that they're building, the conversations that they're having with their partner or spouse. Like, all of that stuff is where the hard work is. If all that it was a plan, no one would have problems with their money because they can Google for that, right? Like, everyone can find a plan. They would all be just fine. So we try to make it too perfect, and then they feel as though I should be able to take this from here. I can go and do this on my own. I don't need you. If I admitted that I need you when everything looks so perfect right now, wouldn't something be flawed or wrong with me? And as coaches, it makes it really hard for us to have that conversation because we do feel like we're bursting their bubble. We're trying to find holes in the plan that now we're trying to bring up, and it feels like we're contradicting ourselves a little bit because we've just shown them how perfect it is, right? So we can sometimes overdo it in trying to make it too perfect and too good and too beautiful for them. And what was happening with this coach that I was talking to was that part of what she was doing was trying to get really into the weeds of like all of the different expenses and where they really might need money that they aren't thinking of yet, and let's put that on the budget. And we know that that's necessary, right? As coaches, we want to up-level people's plans, make them more aware, make them more intentional. But we don't need to do all of that in the very first session. So this is what I'm saying. If we try to do all of it in the very first session, we're getting to the end of their session. They feel as though everything in their life is planned for, so they don't have any need for anything else. They also don't have any money left in their budget because it's all been assigned to all of these potential things because we've come up with everything that they could possibly need to think of for their money. So now when we're starting to talk about the cost of coaching also, it's a harder conversation because we've now used up all the extra that they had in their budget because we've assigned it to all these different places. So now we're having to pull back, which feels yucky. So it makes us have a harder time with that conversation because we don't like doing that, right? And here's the other thing that happens, which I think is even bigger and more important, and we need to have awareness that this is what happens. We've created this beautiful picture. We have challenged them to add more to savings, to plan ahead for all these different areas of life, to, they might have come in and said, I'm going to spend $25 a month on gifts on average. And we're like, no, that's not enough. You need $150. Let's be more realistic. So we put in these more realistic numbers of what they should be saving for and planning for. And they're feeling like, this is amazing. I have money to go to all the things that I want in life. I've got a clear plan. They don't feel like they need more coaching. We send them on their way with this beautiful plan. But guess what? They get out there on their own. They have challenges that come up that they didn't see, unforeseen expenses they didn't anticipate. Money doesn't come in the way that they thought. It's a bigger hassle to get new accounts opened than what they thought that it would be. They get really busy and all of this kind of goes to the back burner. And then when they try to pick it up and put all of these pieces into place, they get really overwhelmed because they've been saving nothing for any of these different areas of life that we've now made them aware of. And now we're expecting them to put a huge amount of money towards all of that right from the beginning. And in their heads, they feel like complete failures because they don't see how it's going to happen. They never begin to save. They don't even start setting things up. They get in their own way and they go back to their old patterns. They maybe start with like just a tiny little bit, but then they feel like a failure because we had told them they should be able to do so much more. And why aren't they now? So they have an even harder time reaching back out to us because they feel like they're a failure. So I'm so curious if anyone has experienced this or if this is something that you're aware of upon hearing this, that like, oh yeah, maybe that's happening. Maybe I'm setting them up with too perfect of a plan. They think that they can do it on their own, and I'm sending them out there with this belief, but they're actually feeling so overwhelmed because I've given them so much to be doing that they can't even do any of it. And this is the thing that breaks my heart, and it happens, you guys. It absolutely happens, that they believe it will be so easy. They believe it looks so perfect and beautiful that they want to try it all on their own. And then they realize that it is way harder than what they imagined, and that they can't possibly do all of the things that we told them that we could do. So for one, it increases their sense of self-doubt and what they believe that they're capable of. They question themselves more. They feel like a bigger failure than when they came in because they can't do what we told them would be so easy and wonderful to do. And it almost like discredits us a little bit, because now they're thinking, what were they thinking when they told me that I could do all of this? What was my coach thinking when they said I'd be able to save $1,500 a month? I can't even put $200 a month into savings right now. So it almost discredits us as coaches because we've given them too much to do on their own right away, and they can't navigate all of that by themselves yet, right? Like, this is all so foreign and so new for them. So we need to set them up with a realistic expectation of what's to come. So a few things that I want you guys to think about if you're going through that initial session is that, yes, we want them to have clarity. We want them to have a plan. We want them to see the areas of their life that they can plan more effectively for, that they haven't been doing before. But the purpose of that first session is not to get into all of the weeds, to get it so dialed in and so perfect and make sure we've thought of everything in that one session. We can't possibly do that in one session, right? So it's too much for them from the beginning. The purpose of ongoing coaching is to get in the weeds and to refine things and to challenge them to make it a little bit better. The first session is just to get them to do something, right? Something that's putting them in a more positive direction with their money. So I want to, I know it feels really, really weird, but I want you to kind of actually hold yourself back a little bit from getting too in the weeds and trying to fix everything, because it actually isn't serving them well in that moment. It actually is giving them too much, and it's giving them this false sense of everything solved now and I don't need to think about anything else, when actually we're only just giving them the beginning right now. Like, there's so much more that they're actually going to need to implement. So a few things. So you're gonna try to not get too in the weeds, not plump up all of those, different savings categories or planning categories too much. Like, we want to be realistic, but we also don't want to overdo it so much that they think, gosh, this feels really big or really scary or like such a switch from what I've been doing already, right? And then when we get to the end of sort of going through their numbers, laying out their plan, there's this transition that happens to beginning to talk about ongoing coaching and what happens there. And I think that's also where we sometimes feel some of that coming up of like, I've just told them all is so perfect, and now I'm trying to tell them that, but you still need me. And it feels weird or yucky, which is not the way to go into a sales conversation. You want to be going into the sales conversation from a place of serving, right? From serving your client well, from knowing what's going to get them the true results that they want, from, transformation. Any sort of transformation in your life doesn't happen in an hour or 2 hours. It is an ongoing process where we have to nurture that. We have to continue to challenge it and up-level it and be there along the way. So we need to transition the conversation in a way that doesn't feel so gross. And by not being quite so perfect throughout and solving every single problem throughout, it actually makes it feel a lot easier to talk about, here are all of the things that I see us still working on, refining, up-leveling, challenging you to grow into in ongoing coaching, right? So it makes it much easier for that transition when you get to that point in the conversation. So when I end the portion where we're actually talking about their numbers and then we start to move into the sales conversation, typically I'll ask them something very general, like, how are you feeling now? Or what are you thinking about the plan that we've laid out? How are you feeling about it? So get them sort of talking about like, oh my gosh, this is so great, or that they're expressing right away, like, this feels like a lot to me. Like, you kind of want to gauge where they're at right now. What buy-in do they have? How confident are they feeling? And then I like to ask them, let's talk about any potential hurdles or challenges that you might come up against while trying to make these changes, or while you're trying to get things started. What might be a challenge for you? What's going to stand in your way? The reality is that everyone is going to have things that stand in their way. They may or may not have thought about that yet. And so we want to have them leaving the session feeling in reality and not like they're floating in the clouds, right? Like, we want to set them up for success. If they're looking at things from a very Pollyanna, perfect point of view, when they get out into the real world and start trying to do these things, they're gonna feel knocked down really fast. So we are doing our duty as their coaches to actually prepare them for the challenges that are ahead, for letting them have awareness of that, because they're thinking in the moment that we've just laid out their plan, everything's solved now. All of my problems are solved. I have the game plan, I have the direction. We want to make sure that we say, listen, I know that what we've created looks really wonderful and the plan itself is simple, but there's going to be challenges that come. I see it all the time with clients, and I want to really prepare you for what this is going to be like actually implementing this and building these new habits along the way, right? So we're asking them, what hurdles do you think you might face? What challenges do you think could come up? Even asking them, when you've tried managing your money in the past, what do you think has held you back, or what has prevented you from actually taking the action? Because the things that stopped you before, they're still going to be there, right? Just because we had this conversation today doesn't mean that those same challenges aren't going to be there. Was it that you were always too busy and you got distracted and couldn't keep up with it? Was it that learning new technology was hard for you, and so you started something and if you didn't know the answer right away, you abandoned it entirely? Was it that your spouse wasn't on board with you and that the two of you really need to have someone to talk to get on the same page as you're putting a new plan in place? There could be so many different things that come up as hurdles, and it stopped them before. It was a challenge before, and it's still going to exist. So we really need to bring to light, what are those things that prevented you from taking action, prevented you from feeling confident or using a system in the past? Let's talk about those things. So I will ask them about what hurdles, what challenges, get them thinking about it, get them talking about it. As they share one thing with me, I am like typing it out right into their spreadsheet or document that I'm sharing with them. So whatever way that you guys do it, I'll have it, potential hurdles, and using their words. What did they say it's going to be? I'm typing it out for them. And I'll ask them, okay, what else? Okay, and what else? And I give them time to think and time to reflect. So just be quiet a little bit, give them that space that they need to sort of think about it. Sometimes they'll say like, I really can't think of anything. They can't think of anything because maybe they haven't gone through this enough, but you have gone through it, or you have seen clients through it, or you know what to anticipate as the challenge on the other side. And so I will throw out some ideas. What about if your business doesn't bring in the amount of revenue we've anticipated next week when you're thinking that it's time to transfer money? Like, what will you do? How will you navigate that? What will happen if you get really busy like you have in the past and this kind of gets pushed to the back burner and it's 2 or 3 or 4 weeks out? Like, how are you going to feel at that point, or how will you get back on board? So you can give them some suggestions. And by you pointing that out, it's not like you're trying to be mean. It's not like you're trying to like pop their bubble or whatever. We just want them to feel very grounded in the reality that making these changes is hard sometimes, right? It's not going to be totally intuitive. It's not going to be totally easy. They're going to doubt themselves. They maybe have tried before and failed, and we don't want that to be the case again. They maybe have said that they're really, really busy and they're not quite sure where they're going to get it all done. That's why coaching is so good, because we help them to be as proactive with their time as possible. We hold them accountable. We make sure that they're not doing unnecessary steps that are going to take more of their precious time, right? So you want to make sure that they're very aware of the challenges that they're about to face when they go out into the real world. You preparing them for that is still helping them, right? It is still helping them because they're better equipped for the challenges that are coming their way. If we say, you're right, it's all perfect, good luck, I think you can do this, and they go out into the world and they don't have any idea of the challenges that they're about to encounter, actually implementing the plan, that's setting them up for failure. It is setting them up for failure. It is not serving them well. It is not serving us well, because we start to doubt our capabilities as a coach, because we're like, no one ever wants to go into ongoing coaching with me. I must not be that great. I must suck at sales conversations. What is it? We doubt ourselves, and then maybe we stop coaching, right? Because we're not bringing in enough revenue. We don't have clients that want to keep working with us. And it's all because we tried to solve too much, to make it too perfect, to make them like us during that session, and not let them be prepared for what is really coming, for what they need to overcome to be successful in implementing these new systems, these new habits, all of that good stuff. So I'm so curious if this is helpful for you guys. I see so many people commenting, trying to do too much during the consultation. Adam says, Nakia's like, this sounds like me. Steven, oh crap. Oh, good. Yes. So people are also saying, I feel so obligated to be, to give too much information, maybe solve too many problems. So yeah, you guys, this is definitely a common thing. I just want you to be aware of it. I want you to think about how those sessions have gone for you. And if you are trying to like overcompensate a little bit, maybe solve too many things, be too perfect, give all of the answers, they can't solve everything. They're not going to implement it all. And if it's too perfect, again, you're backpedaling, trying to say there's still more out there that I can help you with, and they're thinking, I don't see it because this looks perfect, and then they're trying to implement something that is so far out of the norm from what they've been doing that they can't actually do it. So it's not serving them, it's not serving you. So I want you guys to really reflect on this, be aware of this. You know, after you do those discovery sessions, maybe take some time to write down or journal or reflect on it, of like, how did that go? Did I give them a real perspective of what they can anticipate going out and trying this on their own? Did I show them what those challenges are? Or did I try to make everything look all rosy and perfect and beautiful? We want to make sure that we're setting them up for success and we're truly serving them. The worst thing is doing a discovery session with someone, painting such a beautiful picture that they think they can do it all, sending them out on their way, and they don't come back for more coaching. But a year later, they reach back out and they're like, we're in a worse place than we ever were before. And now they're ready for coaching. But they could have been all better at this point. They could have new systems in place. They could have their debt paid off, but they're actually in a worse place because we didn't prepare them for the challenges that they were about to face, and we made it look too easy or too beautiful and perfect. Okay, so those are my thoughts for you guys today. I just thought this is a great one to share with everyone in the group, to kind of get you to reflect on this and think about it, how it might be showing up for you, and if there are things you can do to have more awareness around that and better prepare your clients for the reality of making all of these changes that you're laying out for them. All right, guys, that's it for today. Happy Thursday. Hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll see you next time.